Oh, it's so weird. Let's see. Make sure the video preview is working. Got a tweet out. Discussing listener questions. Twitch.tv/LOLA podcast. Ooh, great. High CPU usage.
It's always good. Always a good sign.
Very good sign. Luckily, I don't have to do Skype, so that should help. Oh, I forgot. I need to check iTunes.
Oh, you guys got affiliate?
Oh, they made it easy now. Like basically,
Like I know they made it easier, but still, I didn't know it was that easy.
yeah, we had.
Like,
yeah, it's that easy. Thanks.
I didn't mean it like that.
Yeah, they made it pretty easy. We had enough views because we've been streaming for a while,
Gotcha.
and enough videos. I think it is. So, yeah, it really.
Okay.
I think like 100 followers or something like that, and I think we hit that plenty.
Oh wow.
So that wasn't too hard.
I've been thinking about getting into streaming with PUBG once I get a better graphics card and getting a webcam and stuff.
You totally should. I would watch it. I would host it.
Oh man, so much pressure now.
Now you have to.
Do.
Okay, close this. Close this. Close this. Close this. All right. It looks like we're live too. Yep, I hear my voice. I gotta pop out the chat so I can see it. Oh, this is so hard to do by myself. Pop out chat.
Maybe sometime soon you'll have to teach me how to do some of that stuff so I can help you out.
Hey, if you're willing to do that, you are absolutely welcome.
I totally am, dude.
All right,
I'm always willing to help out.
let's talk. Let me think. What else? Oh, I got a Discord. Tell everybody. Announcements. We'll just do podcast room. Everyone. Episode 157, talking. Okay. Close that. All right, and it's been like 5 minutes. Type that in the doc. Ugh. Ready to go?
Ready.
Oh, you've been ready for a while. All right. 3, 2. Hey guys, welcome to episode 157 of the League of Legends Anonymous podcast. I'm your host Sam, aka Just Casual, and everyone has dropped out with me today, either sick or work schedules or having more fun without me. So we have Wormlax here, Alec, aka Wormlax. How you doing, buddy?
Hey man, yeah, scrape the bottom of the barrel to get me out of here.
It was just a knock at you after what you said about me earlier. So
True.
yeah. So today we're just gonna be discussing listener questions. If you do not know who Wormlax is, he's part of our community. He is the one trick Renekton player that was on a few episodes ago, and he was on during the top lane episode as well, like 2 weeks ago, right? It's like 2 weeks ago, yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So you're back again. We're gonna be tackling rapid fire some listener questions. This will be a short episode because unfortunately everyone's busy and everyone's sick, so I kind of had to rush things, but that's okay. I think we have a good episode with us. We have a ton of questions that we'll probably won't get through all today, but we will do our best at them. So let's start with the first one. Dragon, he writes, I recently started playing LOL with my girlfriend who is brand new at LOL. I'm having her start out by learning Soraka and Lux, her choice, support, with me as her AD carry. I've noticed that she is very afraid of the enemy champions when I'm not with her, and that she will often use up her mana and health pretty quickly while laning. Are there any tips you can give me on training my noob girlfriend? Any thoughts, Dragon? Or any thoughts, Wormlax?
On this one, I think it really depends on how confident you feel as a coach. Like me personally, I've done a little bit of coaching, and even as a diamond player, I find I struggle sometimes with conveying like what I want to say in a coaching setting.
Okay.
So, like, if you feel confident with that, teach. If she's brand new to the game, no matter what rank you are, you're probably gonna rub off well on her. Maybe so, but if and it also depends on how much she's into it because I mean there is an overabundance of learning tools for League online, on YouTube, on different League learning sites. So if you're willing to take the time, like at the end of your day, instead of like maybe playing 3 games, you play 2 games and watch a couple videos. Like
Hmm.
there's an overabundance of videos that'll teach you from all the way from the basics to the most advanced techniques in League.
Yeah, even watching a video with her would be good too. I think it'd be good, like
Yeah,
good relational experience. Plus, you guys can learn together. You can give your insight while you guys are watching it too. If they like say something wrong or something that's super outdated, maybe there's like training videos from like season 4 that might be somewhat relevant, but some things aren't. Like items and stuff like that, trinkets, those kind of things.
yeah, I
Um,
think that especially like if you want to do it together, like watching someone who's fun, like I'm a cutie pie or like
mhm.
Shifter on his recent videos, he's been more fun, like highlight videos, like watching that, but then maybe because you're watching with her, being able to explain why they do different things in the game and kind of enjoy it, but also get some learning experience out of it.
Yeah. Um, One thing that you Dragon mentioned is that she's afraid of the enemy champions. I'm looking at, you say she plays Soraka and Lux. So Soraka especially, she's supposed to be playing afraid of champions. So I don't think that's necessarily something wrong that she's doing, but she might be still playing way too far back. That's what I'm guessing that's going on. I would even say push her in the deep end. Give her someone like Leona or someone like yeah, I think Leona's a good one. Just someone that goes hard in and then can survive it. Someone that's not that won't die, that doesn't need to be that scared of enemy champions. And I think Leona is a good tank one. I'm trying to think of another one. Alistar is a little tricky with his combo, but
Yeah, I
she might be
wouldn't
able to
go
do it.
straight for Alistar with the combo. I think I like the Leona idea. You can just kind of like it's straightforward. If you hit your E, you spam all your abilities on the person. So it's a pretty easy one to learn right away. And if they don't, if you're playing against people in her elo bracket, probably which is lower levels to lower bronze, like you're gonna be able to like people don't know how to deal with Leona when they just get like all in a lot. So
Hmm.
that could be a good one to start with to teach her how to be aggressive in lane.
Yeah, I'm thinking if she's new though, is Leona 6300? I don't remember what she is actually.
Ooh, I don't know for sure.
I'm trying to think.
I'd say maybe mid range. I don't think she's 6,300.
Let's see. What's 450 IP champions? I'm trying to think of one that might be good as a support. Annie would be, I think, is decent too because I think she can be very narrow in what she does. So you could just like wait for the stun, wait for 6, and engage really hard. Something like that would be okay.
Yeah, that'd even be good because Annie, while she's pretty straightforward with using everything, teach her a little bit of the mechanic of when to queue up and when you want to actually flash in and kind of teach her some more, like build on some more basic mechanics as you go with a easier champion.
Yeah. Whoppy Floppy is saying that Leona's 4800, so it's not the cheapest, but it's not 6300. If you also need a little bit of encouragement for her to keep playing, maybe you need to drop some money on her and like buy her some
Maybe.
pretty champions because I know that can be really important. Like when my wife started playing, she was playing Lux mostly because she really liked Lux, and then once I got her like, I bought her the what's the big skin on her, the Star Guardian skin. She was like
Mm.
loving it, and that's why she like really wanted to play. So she was playing Lux mid, but yeah, so she really enjoyed just playing Lux and spamming Lux because she liked Lux's kit. She liked Lux as a champion. When it comes to more things than just her kit and like her
Yeah.
personality and stuff like that. So that can be really important. So I think definitely maybe if she's picking Soraka and Lux because she likes them, then that's fine. Just figure out a way to do it. As Soraka, you do have to play a little scared, but if she wants to kind of maybe just tell her to like kill people on Lux. Maybe like tell her to play more, like let her play more aggressively and see what she can do. But at the same time, because she's new, it is scary going into like enemy champions that you don't know because there's 136, 7 champions now or something like that.
a lot. It's
Yeah,
a
that's
lot.
when you're going against a champion, you have no idea what they do. That's scary. That's
And there's
perfectly
lots of them when
fine.
you're first starting.
Yeah, and I don't know what her gaming background is either. She might not be like very good at just like controlling her champion. So that totally makes sense, and maybe going into a practice tool even might be helpful. But boring, but it could be helpful. It really depends on how into it she is.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is just drive to get better at it. When I first started, my friend had me playing Soraka just to support him way back when Soraka could give mana and stuff like that. And
Oh yeah.
I was crap. I barely knew how to control my character because I didn't play much computer games. And I'm in Diamond now, so it's all about what you want to put into the game.
Yeah, careful, Dragon. She might gain higher ranks than you, and as long as your pride is okay with that, which it should be, just heads up. Hey, it might actually drive you both to get like higher rank. Who knows?
All right. To Diamond.
All right, so let's move on to the next question. It's Sam, aka Emil Richter. These are all from our Facebook group, by the way. So check out our Facebook group. The link is in the episode description. We have good conversations there, and we pull questions from there too. So he asks, is it better to have your team fully committed to early or late game champs, or to have a mix of the two? And he understands that in solo queue, you don't necessarily get the choice, and that it's matchup dependent, but he wants to know, basically in theory or ideally, what would you want?
In theory, I would never want one or the other too much. I think a mix is the best option, but if I had to pick one for solo queue, I would always want an early game focused team. Because the thing about late game teams is you do lose early game most of the time. So, and people give up really fast. So in solo queue, if my team is losing, we might still have a chance to win that game because of our team comp, but they won't really play to that or like think about that, and they'll just give up. So
Sure.
I would always rather have an early game comp. Like if I had to choose between early and late, I would take the early one because I want to win that game early and keep my team in high spirits, because then even though technically the other team's team might be better later into the game, our team is up in gold and feeling better because we're winning. Like we'll probably close out that game a lot easier than we have to sit behind our towers, farm where we can, and slowly wait till we get our chance to jump back into this game, which doesn't work well in solo queue. People don't wait.
All right, so now I have a follow-up question to that. Are you thinking, when you answer that question, are you thinking about bronze and low elo play in solo queue? I think it's been a while since you've been in there, right?
Yeah, I actually was never bronze, to just toot my own horn a little bit. I've always been silver or higher. But yeah, I guess even in silver, I might lean towards late game more often because their games do go longer. But even then, even with like silver players, it's like they tilt so hard that like having that early game advantage, it might not matter that the late game carry like can get to the late game. Like the other thing is a Kog'Maw in silver is not going to play at the same level as a Kog'Maw in diamond, obviously. So it's like he might get to that late game, but then because he's still very hard to play late game with your positioning, like you might still lose pretty hard because Kog'Maw keeps dying first person to get caught out every fight, so he never even fights. So it's like I'm always hesitant about late game comps in solo queue because there's just people don't have the commitment or the willingness to play around those kind of comps.
But then, if your Kog'Maw's not good, you could also have a bad enemy team where they're not like CCing Kog'Maw, right? Or they're not focusing Kog'Maw if he mispositions.
True.
So there's so many variables here. That's what I'm trying to get at. That like, just like you start off saying, in theory, ideally, you want a mix of both probably, because you could be like the best early game Pantheon or Lee Sin, and you might be able to carry yourself out of bronze that way. You could be the best like Vayne player or like Azir or something, and you could carry yourself out of bronze, or you could not, because just like what other variables come into play, and you could have that one guy that just tilts at first blood, right? Or you could have a team that's like everyone's just like, don't worry, we got this, and they're just really good at team fighting, and all you needed was late game comp. So I really don't think I can't even give like I hate copping out on the answers, but I really don't think I can be like, oh, but I think it's always better to have a late game comp. I have a hard time doing that with this question.
Yeah, there's no real cut and dry answer. League is such a subjective game, and I think for me, if I had to absolutely choose, especially for me personally, like when I climbed out of silver for the first time, I played a lot of AP Kog'Maw when it was stronger, which is a very late scaling champion. But because I'm a very strong lane player, I would almost never lose lane even as a scaling champion.
Yeah.
So it's like I played to that because I'm like, okay, I'm in silver. This game is going to go to 30 or 40 minutes, but I'm also going to do well in my lane even if I play a scaling champion. So I ended up having the advantage throughout the entire game. So it's like, if that's what you're I guess it also depends on what you're struggling with. Try to play around your strengths. So then when I started getting higher and into the ranks and I was having trouble transitioning, like playing someone who was easily exploitable early game in Kog'Maw, I was constantly getting kicked by Lee Sins and stuff like that because they're very popular when you get higher elo. I ended up switching to Renekton more often because I crushed my early game and just translate that into a win earlier because at higher levels people give up faster.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of it depends on you personally. I think that's a really good point. And I think what you kind of have to do, and when you come to your strategy of how to climb for the season, is like look at how games have been going and try to be as objective as possible. Don't be like, oh my gosh, we're having disconnects every game, and then you look back and it's like one every like 20 games. That one really stands out. But you have to really be objective and then be like, okay, so how do I play to my strengths? How do I cover up my weaknesses? Or how do I improve on my weaknesses, right? So for Worm, it was like, I play a late game scaling champion and still win lane because I'm better than the enemy laner anyway, right? For me, back in the day when I played AD carry, like season 1, I played Ashe because I'm like, you know what? All the AD carries play super aggressively in lane and in the rest of the game. All I'm going to do is build Last Whisper third item and kill the front line and just go front to back. And I never died in team fights. Like I lost lane, that's no problem, but I'm like, I know I can position well and I can hit the tank because everyone wants to, so let me just build to kill tanks. And I won so many games just like playing Ashe really scared and just hitting front line until like I busted through everyone because I knew that I would position better than the enemy team just because I wasn't greedy. So that's how I played through it.
Yeah, I kind of on a random note of that though, that people don't realize in a team fight, if you're ever like unsure how to play a team fight as an AD carry, safer is almost always better because if you end up surviving longer than their carries, it doesn't really matter how much damage they did at the start by flashing in to get 1 kill or 2 kills. If you're still alive after they're dead, you're still pumping out damage. So playing safe is something that's very undervalued by AD carries.
Yeah. All right, cool. Next question, Joshua S. asks, just for fun, what is the definition of one shot? Do you have to kill them with one ability, kill them from full HP, kill them in one combo, one auto? What is your opinion on this?
I think usually for me, I would say like if I died like instantly to someone, it would be like if I'm at 3/4 health or higher, and then they'd like one-shot me, I would consider that a one-shot.
Yeah.
With like, even if it's a full rotation, it's like, oh, holy cow, I had no counterplay there. I didn't realize they were that strong.
Yeah, I think that's how everyone uses it pretty much. If you get bursted in a very short amount of time from high health, I think that's pretty much a one-shot. I'm pretty sure back in the day, it was pretty much like one auto attack, one ability when like things were super overpowered. And people were bad at the game. Like you'd have a Sivir that had like a ton of crit and you just auto attack and like ricochet or something and you die. Or back when Nidalee was spears were literally one-shotting like carries in the back. AP Nidalee. So I don't think you see that as often, but I think it's translated into more of a you've been killed very quickly.
I think
You really see actual one-shots.
They tried to get away from one-shots as like a game in general because they don't like that can be unhealthy to play against because it's like it's very hard to know what you did wrong when you get one shot.
It's like, oh, I got off the fountain.
Yeah.
That was my mistake.
It's like they've kind of taken away from like abilities that one shot. The biggest like one shots I think that happen more often than not now are like these AD or AP mages or assassins that can one shot a carry with their whole spell rotation, which most of them, if they hit their entire rotation on the carry, they deserve the kill in the first place. So
yeah,
that's kind of where that has stayed like in a healthy spot for one shots. But as far as like, you know, there used to be there's that clip from the LCS, I forget which team it is, but the Kale literally throws the Q and autos once on a Caitlyn and she dies. And it's like, oh wow, that was a lot of damage.
All right, FF at 20.
Yeah.
All right, so next question we have is from Matt S, aka Gunday Monday. He's asking, how can I help my teammates play better? This I like this question because it's a tough one.
It's a very tough one, very subjective. I think if you're confident in your shot call a lot. And even try to play around your teammates more often. Because one thing way back in the day when I used to watch Wings of Death, a top laner who was like semi-pro for a little bit, but he's mostly just been a pro streamer for now. Whenever he talked about using his TP from top lane, he's like, you know, I might TP where it puts me behind, but as long as I can get my teammates ahead, I know that I can play my lane to a point that deficit I gave myself won't matter.
Ooh, I like that.
So really, sometimes you do have to put your teammates' well-being ahead of your own if you feel like you can deal with, you know, maybe you see that big wave coming top and you really want it, but your Kog'Maw is spawning in 2 seconds. It's like, all right, he's died like 3 or 4 times and really needs some farm. Like, leave that for him, let him get some farm, and not letting your pride get in the way of, you know, I've had the games where I think, oh, this guy's not doing well, I should take the farm and use it for the good of the team. But in reality, if you help him out, he might be able to do things later on. So
sure,
try to be selfless in game if you are confident in your own ability.
Another thing I have for that is actually being like the team cheerleader. It's something that I've strayed away from a lot more. In season 3, I totally did like the Sky Williams like de-sucking like strategy where you just like appease your teammates and tell them like, I apologize for every fight that went wrong. Like, oh, my bad, guys. Like, oh, I shouldn't have called. Like, I did that. And I was like, every time someone did, like, oh, that was really close, even though I didn't really see it. Or like, oh, you'll get him next time. And I really didn't see much tilt when I was playing. Like, I think it made a difference because now I'm just like, I need to focus on my gameplay. And I've become a little more selfish in that sense. And I don't type in chat because I get distracted and I die when I'm like typing in chat. So I like stop doing that. But then I realized that I do see tilt more now than I did before for my teammates. And I feel like it's because I have not been that like the team cheerleader to really help everyone kind of keep their calm and realize that there's people behind the keyboard, behind each champion and stuff like that. I really do think it helps. Like, especially because like when I make a mistake, I'm always just like, oh shit, what is everyone going to say about me? Like, oh, where's the flame coming? If I did something really stupid, like if I just walked in a lane accidentally not watching my character or something like that, and it like kind of stresses me out. I'm like, oh crap, should I just mute all? But then when someone's just like, hey, don't worry about it, it's all good, or like, huh, that's unfortunate, or like, oh, that must have been lag. Like when someone says something and addresses it without like having flame behind it, you're like, oh, it's okay that I made that mistake, and it takes the stress off, in my opinion. So I think really like being encouragement, being an annoying encouragement to your team is really helpful, and also will get you the honors now that everyone is striving to get
those levels.
Exactly. I don't think I have them yet. Oh, it's so sad.
Oh man, I think I'm 4 at the moment.
Wow.
But another thing to go along with the encouragement thing, be careful about like if you feel like you should say something to someone like they're not playing correctly, even if you don't mean it maliciously. Like, hey, maybe you should play safer after they just died. Like, think about how you would take if you just died in lane. You're like, oh shoot, that was a bad play by me, and then someone in chat was like, maybe you should play safer. You might take that the wrong way because of this. You just died, and you're maybe a little upset about that. So, I have a friend that I play with that whenever someone like is doing something wrong in the game, he'll jump on top of it. And even though a lot of times I'll agree with like what he's saying, because he's constantly telling them that what they should be doing, they just take it as flame.
Sure.
So it's like you have to be careful with how much you correct people, because people don't want to listen. People don't really care what you have to say in the long run.
Yeah, and people don't want to hear that they did something bad. No one wants to hear that. Especially they might know that they made a mistake anyway.
Right. So even if they know you're right, like I've had it in top lane too, where I end up dying to someone in lane, and I'm like, oh, that was really bad by me to die solo there. If someone is like, wow, this Renekton dying, it's like, oh, sweet, now my teammate's flaming me for it too. It's like,
yeah,
that doesn't help anyone.
No, it does not. Yeah, that's so painful. And honestly, like, even if you have good intentions, telling someone to fix their play style, or they should build differently, or they should play differently, like, do you really think that's gonna like fix their gameplay that game? Like, if I tell them like, hey, you're playing this wrong, like you need to do it this way, do you think they're really gonna be like, oh yeah, you're right, I should change my like build order? Like, no, that's not gonna happen. Like, most likely it's not gonna happen. One, because you're coming off like a douche, and two, like they don't want to listen to you. So why even bring it up? I think it's such a low chance of success. It's not worth it with like high risk, right?
For sure.
So it's scary.
And you're also using just text. So like in your mind, you may say, oh, you should have played safer there, and maybe you would have won that fight. Like, and you're saying it really nonchalantly, but when they read it, they read, oh, you should have played safer there. Wow,
that was in all caps with 10 exclamation points afterwards.
Yeah, it's like there's no way to read that off of a screen when you have no idea who's on the other side of the screen. So
yeah, actually, one thing that there's an old podcast called Low Elo. It was one of my favorite podcasts before it shut down. And they always use the phrase, hey man, because no one gets upset at hey man. So if you're like, hey man, what do you think about doing this? Or blah, blah, blah. Like, that's how they kind of address conversations, which I actually kind of agree with. But also, I think one of the things that I used to do, and again, I should really implement this because it worked, I just haven't thought about it in a while, is like, your Kog'Maw died, and it was obvious that like something like they made a mistake, and I'd be like, "Hey, we just need to get Kog'Maw alive. Kog'Maw, like, what do you need from me?" Like if I'm a support, for example, and then he'd be like, "Oh, I just need some peel." I'm like, "Okay, good. I'll peel for your next fight." So just having that conversation, and like, I think that way it really can't be taken poorly. Be like, "Hey, what can I do to help you, like, keep you alive?" And be like, "Oh, that Zed is jumping on me." I'm like, "Okay, I have exhaust next fight. I'll exhaust Zed." Right? I think that's really constructive, as long as it's not like a 5-paragraph like going back and forth conversation. As long as it's like 3 lines going back and forth, I think it's worth everyone's time. It's not distracting, and I think it helps improve morale as well.
Yeah, you want to help them out, and if next fight he dies again the same way, he might start doing the blame game where he's like, why is no one peeling for me? If you have the conversation before and he like sees that you're peeling, but then maybe he still kind of dies next fight, maybe he tilts a little bit less because he goes, man, that was just an unfortunate situation. Maybe he looks at where he was positioning. He's like, man, I had this person peeling for me and I still died. Like, what could I have done better? So
and you might find out that you're wrong, right? Be like, you need more peel? Oh yeah, I haven't been peeling for my Kog'Maw. Whoops, I should do that, You might end up finding out a way to improve your own play as well.
Having that critical thinking about the aspects of the game.
I want to mention a few things with this too, things that don't help your teammates play better. And I think we touched on a little bit in like calling their mistakes out. Do you have any other suggestions, or do you see things that people do that they think they're helping their teammates, but they're not?
Trying to force what is the good play without their team. When,
Oh, yeah.
you call, like, hey, we need to fight right now. We have 5 people here. Their person is top lane. Like, we should engage right now. And you, like, flash all as someone, like, as Malphite or something like that. Your team wasn't ready. Someone jungler's off doing Raptors, your AD carry is farming a wave, they weren't ready at all, and you just wasted major cooldowns, probably died because you're overextended.
And you're like, team, and no one's around you, like, oh.
So, maybe that was the perfect Malphite ult if your team followed up. Maybe they should have. But because they didn't, it's better to just play with your team rather than trying to make the call on your own. Because if your team doesn't follow up, it doesn't matter how good the call you made was.
Yeah.
So really play with your team.
I had that situation yesterday, and I'm on the fence whether I was at fault or not. But either way, I think, even though I think my call was right, I should have just grouped with my team. I was playing Tryndamere, and I could pretty much 1v1 anyone that came to me. So I'm like, hey, I want to split push, And then we had a Singe support who was actually positive, and he was also split pushing. So I'm like, let's just 1-3-1. And the enemy team was stronger than us. They had a team fight team. They were stronger than us. We're like, we can't win a 5v5 fight. I'm playing Tryndamere. I didn't really build like crazy damage. I built kind of split push like duel. So I'm like, let's just do 1-3-1. And everyone's like, yeah, let's do 1-3-1. And then my team kept getting caught out. I don't know what was happening because I didn't catch the start of the fights. I don't know if someone got like picked off like really well by the enemy team, or someone was playing stupid, or they engaged without us. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but we never could set up a 1-3-1 after like 30 minutes, even though like I almost took the inhibitor tower like at 25 minutes. So really unfortunate. My team eventually like, we need a group. I'm like, no, I knew that, no, this is not the way to win. Mm-hmm. But I knew they kept getting caught. So I'm like, I probably should have just came and just grouped and maybe try to flank really, really well, on their fed carry or something. And so even though I think I knew what the right decision was, the better decision is to be a team rather than playing by yourself selfishly.
Yeah, because in that point, yeah, you're probably right. Split push is probably the better idea to do. But again, like you said, people are going to get caught, and most people don't play that to the right way in a team fight, that they're like staying back as 3 and like playing really safe and not going to get caught. They're just holding waves while you push. They're going to like try to be close, try to get some poke off and stuff, and all of a sudden they're caught. So your team fight might not be better, but it might be your only shot if your team is going to not play the split push correctly.
Yeah, the enemy team can make a bad of a mistake to end the game as we could too. So like there's high chances of, there might have been better chances of grouping. So yeah, that's painful. And I think it was a pride issue, an ego thing. So I need to keep that in check if I want to do better. Let's move on. I think we got one more question I really want to touch on. It's from John A, and he asks, why is the support and AD carry always in the bot lane? Shouldn't they be in the middle to influence play on Rift Herald and Dragon? Also, the support could ward top and bot jungle for vision. So I want to start this off before maybe I hand it off to you. The reason back in the day when the meta was created like mid-season 1, because in season 1 people just picked whatever they wanted to play. So it wasn't necessary supports in the bot lane. Or pre-season 1, season 1-ish. Season 1 was a long time. It was more than a year. But basically what ended up happening was like, hey, if we put an AD carry bot lane that needs protection from a support, give all the income to the AD carry can literally carry the game 1v9. And then there was also Dragon on the bot side and nothing on the top side until Baron spawned at 20 minutes. So there's nothing to protect on the top side. So you had 2 people on the bot side to protect Dragon or do Dragon, depending on the situation. The mid lane, you put mages mid lane because they need levels. Levels are super important to get their abilities stronger, and they need a ton of gold, so they're solo. And the top lane was a huge island where you put tanks. It was like you just put whatever you want to play up there. Now that Rift Herald's in there, and it's kind of important, I still think dragons are up more often than a Rift Herald because you only can take one Rift Herald, and sometimes you see pro teams like swap, getting that turret or that Rift Herald. I think you still want that strong side. You still want strong control of dragon, but then I'm kind of wondering, why not put them mid? Because you have roaming supports, like you said, good vision from the mid lane is important, and then you got access to both sides for both the bot laners to roam, like for turrets and stuff.
I think part of it is who you would then put in the bot lane, because you're putting the mid laner, so your AP mages, your AD assassins, those type people in the bot lane. A lot of the ones who are meta and mid right now don't do well in a long lane, which the bot lane is very long. So having a 2-person bot lane really helps with that long lane, if you can help each other out to get out of bad situations when being ganked, and you can help each other stop like wave management by the other team by pushing or shoving at different times.
Okay, so I think you touched on a little bit, but people might not understand what's wrong with a long lane.
So in a long lane, what you're going to run into is if a wave gets stuck towards the enemy tower, you've got a long ways to run back to your turret. So there's a lot more chase potential, and there's a lot more gank potential from the enemy jungler. So if you want to play in that lane, like you see in top laners, they're either tanky or have a lot of movement of their own, or they can fight multiple people at a time. These kind of things that supplement being in that long of a lane. A lot of these mid laners that you want to, they're good enough that they can be in a solo lane, but maybe don't quite have the chops to be in that long of a lane. You want them in the mid lane. So I think that's one big part. I know that when playing in top lane, personally, there's a lot of people who try to play carries in top lane, and you end up punishing them because of how long of a lane it is. Okay. So it's kind of a hard... I don't think that's the complete contributing factor. I think there's some other stuff around the fact of if you're in mid lane, you can get ganked from both sides. So as a duo, think about how many people roam to bot lane right now with the duos. The 5-man bot is a big thing.
Sure.
So if that was coming to the mid lane where the top would have an easier roam, they could even roam down without using their TP, that could even be more volatile.
But that's good for you too if you're a top laner or your team goes 5 mid, right? So it's...
I guess you could try it as a team, this game, we're going to send our duo mid and see how... I think it would come down to is just what the meta is. Because their duo is going to go bottom, now your mid laner and bottom on their own is going to have a rough time. I don't think you'll ever run into another team running the same exact thing. So there's so many contributing factors around the map that could go for you or could go against you, that it's let's just play into what puts us on even playing ground and go from there.
Yeah, I think it could work if both teams were like, hey, let's put our duos mid, right? Because then, yeah, like you mentioned, that mid laner, that mage going bot is now 1v2ing, and mages usually don't do that well on that. You have top laners that have that just kind of need to get in experience range, can deal with the 2v1 and just farm under turret. Mages that are in the meta probably can't deal with that. But then again, the meta might change. The meta is based on not only team fights, but in laning phase. So maybe you change the meta by changing your mid lane. Maybe you go all bruiser comps and then Ezreal mid that has AP damage and AD damage. I don't know. But I think it's something where a duo is super strong against a specific mid, where your duo, even though they're not going to be higher level, they are somehow getting a huge benefit, because you put one person mid to get solo experience, right? So putting an 80 carry mid that gets the same amount of farm if he was in bot lane, he doesn't gain levels, so you have to be super oppressive to that enemy mid laner while not getting ganked by people that might be a little higher level than you.
And also the bot lane is much more diveable. So say that you switch your duo to mid, and so their duo is against your mid and bottom. So they have 2 people in bottom, and they bring their jungler down to dive 3v1. You think, oh, we can do the same thing in mid, but it's a lot harder because the tower is closer behind. There's not as many good paths to get behind them. So it's a lot easier to turret dive bottom and top towers because of where they're positioned.
Yeah, good point.
So that could really, like, especially in pro play, that would really see whoever was left in bot lane would. I mean, you see it happen all the time in pro lane with top laners getting left on the island and just getting dove. Just this last weekend in the finals, Haunser was playing Renekton in top lane versus Jarvan, and they brought Sejuani up at level 3 and tower dove at level 3 2v1. So imagine 3v1 versus a squishy mage. It's very unsafe to pull those kind of moves. Yeah. It's kind of a high risk, high reward kind of situation.
I think we should do a community night where we put duos in the mid lane. That might be fun.
We could try that.
Okay, so we've run out of time for this episode. We got a few more questions that we'll tackle eventually. Probably the next episode. But besides that, I have a few announcements. One, we have this incoming sponsorship / giveaway thing that we're doing. It's actually for a gaming chair. It's going to be starting next week. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you are up to date on episodes starting next week, especially, so you can get all the details on that because it is time-based. And also there's like a promotion code with that as well. So incoming giveaway. Just be aware of that next week for episode 158. Besides that, we have our patrons. I've been forgetting to do our patron shout-outs. Whoops. Sorry, guys. Cool. And, damn it, I closed the tab. Oh, man. So I just want to shout out our patrons. If you guys aren't aware, we support this podcast financially because there's a lot of costs that go on with this by your guys' generous donations to make us, pay for our editors, feed our video editors, and make sure that we can continue putting new content out there. So if you guys find value and are willing to give back, Patreon is the way to go. We have some rewards. It has been revamped a little bit. Not everything's $1 anymore because it was getting really overwhelming. That being said, we split it up, and I think we're making it more useful to you guys because, to be honest, half of you guys weren't redeeming rewards anyway. But let me go down the list to say who our patrons are for the month of August. So we have Not the Bees, Joshua S., I'm in the Bushes, Chad Jensen, Mason C., Alex F., Adam K., Mitej, Nathan W., Fear My Bush, Kevin G., Askley, Simon J., Vernon L., Ted K., RM Azriel. We always have trouble pronouncing that one. Blake Mushin, Jakey Poo, HT Yim, Flame Knight, William Y., Ian, Anna G., Colin C., Vic. We got Victor Pradley. We got Roku Egg 93, Christopher B., Brad S., Paul Sideburns, Grumpy Conductor, Brent A., Top Cat, Jake V., Nobody, Gunday Monday, Eric W., Francisco, Sam T., Cray, Theo, Grey White, Den Brinker, and Dragon the Great. Thank you guys for your support. We really, really, really appreciate it. And you guys are awesome. So if you guys are interested in Patreon, check out the link in the episode description. Whew, that was a long list. So
that mouthful.
Yeah. So that is it for the episode. We will see you guys next week.
See you later.
All right. A little late. 9:01. Not bad. I'll take it.
Gotta run.
Yeah, I gotta run. I got a meeting at